back to my channel. It's Chelsea, where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. I am a beauty enthusiast that loves to talk about everything dealing with beauty and makeup, and today we are talking about one of my favorite things in all of makeup, and that is foundation. The tinted moisturizers, the light to medium coverage, the medium to full, and then the full coverage foundations. I got all the categories, all the things to talk about, and we're going to be ranking my favorites in each category. So stay tuned for the foundations of 2021 that I have tried and feel that are worth talking about. Yes, we're talking about them today. Can't wait to share with you my thoughts and my suggestions and recommendations for you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I truly do appreciate it, and let's get right into this video. Starting with tinted moisturizers. Of the tinted moisturizers that came out this year, there's 3 that I really feel are worth talking about, that I think are worth considering, okay? If you would like to check them out. I did do a video on my favorite tinted moisturizers, so I talk about more in that video. I will go ahead and link that one for you because we're only going to be concentrating on 3. Now, in the number 3 spot is the Fenty Beauty Ease Drop Skin Tint. I do wear the shade 13, and this particular skin tint, when I first tried it, I was a little disappointed because I was thinking skin tint dewy. This is a very natural looking, toward the like matter side of a skin tint. And once I kind of got out of my head like this is supposed to be dewy, this is so blurring. So the name is actually the Ease Drop Blurring Skin Tint. This is a very beautiful blurring skin tint that I think has way more coverage than a skin tint, but not like solid medium coverage. So we're still in the skin tint family, still gonna have lighter coverage, but we have a little bit more coverage than, like I said, a medium foundation, but we have a blurring effect of an actual foundation. Very easy to apply. You can apply this with your hands. You can apply it with a brush. You can apply it with a sponge. I prefer to apply it with a brush. I like the coverage better with the brush, and I also think you get more of that blurring effect when you use a brush. You don't have to set this if you don't want to, because it does wear on the skin more natural-like. For me, I have more normal skin, so this does pull more matte on my skin, but not an uncomfortable matte and also not a flat matte. This is just beautiful. I have come to truly love it, and I definitely think it is one to have. There are 20-some shades of this skin tint, so a nice little shade range in terms of skin tints, and this is quite reasonable, falling around the $26 price range. So highly recommend this one if you haven't checked it out yet. Coming in at number 2 is the NARS. This is the Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. I do wear the shade Santiago Medium Deep 1. Now, this is not new in terms of NARS did not come out with it this year, but they did come out with more shades this year and kind of re-promoted it. So that's why I'm talking about it in this video as something that, you know, is relevant for this year. This is stunning. So this gives me more of like a satin type finish, but it's not totally dewy and it's not totally matte. So I think this is a skin tint that can really work for a plethora of skin types. If you are oily, I think you still could appreciate this because it's not going to be overly dewy. Just go ahead and set it with your favorite powders or go in with your favorite mattifying sprays or primer, and I think you will love it. With dry skin, I think if you go in with a more dewier type of primer, especially if you have extremely dry skin, I think you can make this work for you. And if you're someone who falls somewhere in the middle, this looks beautiful because it has a radiant finish to the skin, and it's something that you would enjoy, and it's beautiful. This also gives us really good coverage. Kind of like the Fenty, we get nice light to medium type of coverage, so more coverage than like a traditional skin tint, but definitely not like hardly no coverage at all. I love this. I think this comes in maybe 40 shades. It actually comes in a really good amount of shades. So I think there's a really good chance that you can find a shade for you. And I think this retails about $39. So highly recommend this one. My number 1 skin tint that I've talked about before in multiple videos is the YSL. This is the new Yves Saint Laurent Bare Look tint. I wear the shade Nu 15, and this right here is bae, okay? So this gives me my dewy type of look, okay? But It doesn't stay dewy because I can go ahead and set it, and now my skin looks radiant instead of maybe dewy. But what makes me love this skin tint over all the ones that I have is it is so flawless on the skin. So here we go. Fenty is blurring, okay? Beautiful, especially if you have pores on your face, it's very blurring. But this gives a flawless finish. So like pores are blurred, skin looks radiant and healthy and very youthful, and everything just looks smooth over, like a filter almost. And this is a skin tint, so this doesn't have the most coverage, and so you're not expecting something like that in a skin tint, but you get it from this product. It's amazing. I truly love it. I wore it all the time in the summer because that was when I wanted like less coverage, but I still wanted this flawless look. But I would still wear it now when I'm like, okay, I want to jazz up my face a little bit. I want to do more than just like a little highlighting out the door, but I don't want to feel like I have to do a full beat. But I can also do a full beat with this one because this one is also not lacking in coverage as well. We get a nice light, like solid light coverage, if that makes sense. So we're not doing light to medium, but solid light coverage. So like we're like erring on the side of light medium. So if I would say amongst all three skin tints, I want to say that the NARS is going to give me, if I can say, the most coverage out of these three. Then we will go with Fenty and then YSL in terms of coverage. But all of them have similar coverages, if that makes sense. So I can't rave about this enough. In terms of shade range, I think this one has about 15 shades, somewhere around there. And price point, I think we're in the 30s for this. But I would highly check this out if you're looking for a good skin tint that just wants to do it all. Flawlessness, blurring, all of the above. Okay, then we're gonna go to the light to medium type of foundation. So starting out, so I have 4 in this category. The one I'm gonna start out with is the Givenchy Prisma Libre Skin Caring Glow. And I have the shade 5N345. Now this, I actually, okay, here's the thing. This, let me be objective. This foundation is so beautiful on the skin. It is very glowy, very radiant, but we definitely are erring on dewy for this type of foundation. Like I said, light to medium coverage. And if I were just putting this on my face and I didn't have to worry about shade, it's gorgeous. But this shade is not a good shade match for me. It actually looks quite orange against the skin. And I still have yet to figure out what is a shade that will work really good for my skin tone. So if you're around my complexion and you're like, Chelsea, I have this and this shade works for me, please let me know because I can't figure it out. And I don't want to like buy a whole bunch of these foundations just to return them all because I can't find my right shade. And I will admit, although this is beautiful and radiant on the skin, it is not my favorite enough to invest more money into it. Does that make sense? Okay. But if someone could like guarantee like, hey, this is probably like dead on gonna be your shade, I would buy it again to then try it again to see like, do I like this more now that the shade works? I think the biggest benefit of this particular foundation is that it does have a very like dewy, healthy looking finish on the skin, and it has light coverage. But for me, the reason why I haven't invested time to find my right shade to then figure out, if I like it, because I get the same thing from this YSL skin tint. So that's where I'm at with this Givenchy foundation. I know somebody would like it, but so far, it's not my favorite. But I definitely wanted to talk about it because this did come out this year. And, you know, if you're interested in it, those are my thoughts. So I have 5 in this category, not 4, my mistake. So coming in at number 4 is the Westman Atelier Foundation Stick. I wear the shade 10, Atelier 10, and it's actually what I'm wearing on my face. This is such a beautiful and creamy type of foundation. It's very gorgeous, glides onto the skin, and it doesn't offer the most coverage. Once again, we're going light to medium, but I feel like the finish is just so pretty and so perfecting. I really enjoy this type of foundation, and I've been making a conscious effort to reach for it more, and I'm like, yes, yeah, this is beautiful. This is really, really beautiful. Just like, if I could say, like a solid everyday light to medium type of coverage foundation. My freckles are not covered up, but they are dulled a little bit. I've got a little bit of a breakout on my face, and so we smooth over that, doesn't cling onto it. I think this foundation stick has a very natural finish on the skin, so it's not overly dewy and radiant. So depending on your skin type, I think even if you have dry to oily skin, you could appreciate it. If you have drier skin, I would just go in with a more hydrating primer, because the stick alone might be too dry for your skin, especially if you have more dry skin. Same thing with oily skin. Go in with your mattifying primer set with the powder. I think you would really enjoy it. And it has actually pretty good wear too. I didn't mention any wear time amongst the tinted moisturizers. So in terms of wear time, the Fenty is going to have the longest wear time, like 10 plus hours worth of wear. I would say NARS gets me a solid work day, maybe 8 to 10 hours. And then the YSL, this gets me through a work day, but I can definitely start to see it breaking down around the 8-hour mark, but it wears away very nicely. So we don't have patches or anything like that. So forgot to mention that. Givenchy wear time, because it is more dewy, 5 to 6 hours worth of wear. Now coming in at number 3 is a foundation that I love, 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 love. It's a foundation stick, and it is Fashion Fair. So I wear the shade Caramel Fresh, and this is such a perfecting foundation stick. So where the Fashion Fair differs for me and Westman Atelier is this one has more coverage than Westman Atelier, and also the stick is not as emollient. So with that being said, the coverage is going to last longer. So this is a longer wearing foundation stick, and it is a little more perfecting than Westman is. So I love this. I have worn this on like simple makeup days, glammed up makeup days. The application is so easy because, you know, you just draw your stripes on your face, blend it out. And it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. I have the Fashion Fair powder, like cream to powder foundation. And y'all, I think I used this one time because after I used the foundation stick, I couldn't stop using it. I did do a video comparing both of these where I wore both of them on the face. So I'll link that. The cream to powder foundation is good too. Like, I need to use it more, but this foundation stick, they did it with this foundation stick. Like I said, solid medium coverage, very flawless on the skin, very flexible in how you can wear it, and highly recommended. Price range is going to be around the 30s. Westman Atelier, I think we are at 70 something for the foundation stick, and then Givenchy 50 something dollars in terms of price. Biggest drawback with Fashion Fair is going to be their shade range. So basically, I think for complexions that are around medium skin tone or deeper are going to have a shade. So I'm hoping that Fashion Fair does expand their shade range, because everybody needs to be able to try this formulation. It is amazing. Amazing. Number 2, okay? It's a newer foundation to us, but honey child, she came in and was like, I'm doing it all. This Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Foundation. Oh my goodness me. Okay, light to medium coverage. Okay, first of all, let's get the shape here. It's such a beautiful shape. She cannot stand up without her box. She prefers to lay. I wear the shade 23, finally found my shade. This foundation melts into your skin like nobody's business, okay? It literally becomes one with your skin. It is a beautiful, natural foundation, natural finish foundation. So you can manipulate it however you want it to be. If you want this foundation to be more dewy, go in with like a hydrating primer, go in with a maybe liquid highlight. You can manipulate this to be more dewy. If you want this to be more matte, go in with a mattifying base, and it literally adapts to whatever you put it on. I think what makes this one such a winner is just the flawlessness that it leaves on the skin and how well it meshes into the skin. There's 40 shades, so there's there's a plethora of shades for people. And one thing that she did, Lisa, that I was just completely blown away by was, as a makeup artist, she was like, I always had to mix foundations for certain complexions. So when she came out with her foundation, she wanted to make sure that the shades that she came out with were the shades that she always had to mix. So you'll find that you could probably wear a few different foundations in this particular brand because of how she formulated them with the undertones and so forth. So I love this foundation. I cannot sing its praises enough. And quite honestly, this was number one. It was number one until I remembered that this foundation came out this year. And I was like, oh, it must be talked about. The LYS Triple Serum Foundation. I wear the shade TN6, and LYS took all our edges, okay? This foundation is like the perfect light to medium coverage, healthy skin type of foundation. Number one, it's formulated with so many beautiful and skin-loving ingredients. There are, how many shades? I want to say there's at least 30 shades. The price range, so affordable. I think for Lisa Eldridge, we're sitting at like $56 or $58, and then $22 for LYS, I want to say. I have to mention it because I am always proud of what we do. Black owned and woman owned. The owner is amazing. She's so beautiful and kind. And this foundation is one to have. Like, if you've never heard of the brand and you're like, what should I start with? I'm going to tell you to start with the foundation. But then I'm also tell you to start with the blushes and the bronzer and the powder. Oh, and then they just came out with these highlights. Like, everything so far from this brand is bomb.com. And I felt like this had to be number one because it checks off all of the boxes, literally from application to formula to wear time to price range. Like, it meets everybody's criteria. And that is a very, very strong statement. I know. And this is also preference. This is also my bias. I'm going to put that right on out there. But I really feel like if you put this foundation on and it's not your favorite, that's okay. But I don't feel like you'll put this foundation on go and just be like, oh, this is just not good. I don't think you'll say that. This is just a solid, beautiful, like I said, just everybody's light to medium coverage type of foundation that looks beautiful on the skin, wears beautifully, like, does all the things. And that's why it's number one in my light to medium category. Okay, now let's move on to full coverage. So these foundations, they really are full coverage, but you can manipulate them to be medium to full. So I'm kind of covering medium to full and then full all in one. So I technically have 6, but it's really 4 that came out like this year, and then I have like 2 honorable mentions. So I will talk about the 4 and then I'll talk about my honorable mentions. Okay, so coming in at number 4, we have the Huda Beauty. This is the Faux Filter Luminous Matte Foundation. I wear the shade Toffee 420G, and this is a really like nice, solid, full coverage foundation. Luminous Matte. Let's talk about what that looks like. So Luminous Matte is basically still going to be matte on the skin, but we're not flat matte and we're not dry matte. Like, I tried her original formula of her foundation like this, and that joker, first of all, the scent was just overwhelming. Like, in your throat, making you cough, overwhelming. Secondly, it was so matte, like my skin immediately became oily because my pores were suffocated because it was so matte. So with this Luminous Matte, now we're just like at a standard matte foundation formula where we don't look flat matte, our pores are not suffocating, but we do have a solid matte finish and it looks very nice on the skin. I tend to not reach for matte formulations because they're not my favorite, and if I am gonna wear a matte formula, it has got to be bomb, which I got some in here, so stay tuned, okay? So I think this one is nice, just not one of my favorites, but there is a really great shade range with this foundation, and it retails, I want to say, for around like $39. For me, I love the stick foundation over this one so much better because that one has more of like a satin-like finish, great coverage as well. It's over there. That's why I don't have it with me. But this one is nice, but not one that I'm gonna reach for or recommend to someone, because I have other ones that I would recommend over this one. Now, coming in at number 3, I almost didn't talk about this one because I legit cannot find it anywhere. And I'm like, it just came out this year. What happened? I thought it was beautiful. I don't know. Guerlain's not making it anymore. So I don't know where this is. I don't know why Guerlain took it off the market, but hold on, Les Essential High Perfection 24-Hour Wear Foundation. So I wear mine in the shade 045W, and this is beautiful. Now we coming in strong with a matte finish, okay? Very strong with the matte finish. Also, she a little thick, okay? A little thick. I don't have nothing wrong with thickness because I'm you know, I got my curves too. But this foundation, what I like about it, it looks really perfected on the skin. So I would wear this foundation like if I wanted to take like flawless looking pictures and I wanted like more of like a matte look, airbrush look. This foundation gets the job done. But for me, having like more normal skin, I do need to go in with a like very hydrating type of primer because it can get very thick and matte and drying on the face, but it looks very beautiful. So I go in with a smaller amount and build it up to my liking. And for me, I try to wear this more medium-like because it is more thick, and so a little bit does go a long way. Like I said, if I can find it, I mean, check the D box. I don't know, maybe it's popped up again, but I don't know why they decided not to like continue to make it. The dewy version is still out there, but I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Coming in at the number 2 spot, okay, is this Gucci foundation. I wear the shade 350W. Now, I want to say this came out like last December. Either last December or early January. However, it was so close to the new year, that's why we're talking about this. Oh, this is just a beautiful velvety matte foundation. And it is stunning. I do need to get another shade because, 350W, this is quite warm on my complexion. And it's a little deep. So I need to get another shade. I'll just buy it, you know, whenever. But I can make the shade work. Truly love this foundation. Has a very good wear. The finish is going to be more natural to matte, so I don't have to wear a hydrating primer if I don't want to. I mean, I normally do wear a hydrating primer, but I don't have to. But if I wanted this to be a little more dewy, I'll just go in with like a liquid illuminator like the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I'll go in with something like that if I want this to not be as matte looking, but very good coverage. Kind of comes out the gate airing toward the full coverage side versus medium coverage side, and it is stunning. I think we've got a good 40 shades in this particular foundation. With the Guerlain, I can't remember how many shades it was. I definitely know it was over 20, but I don't think we were at 40 shades. Once again, though, may not even still be available, so I don't know why I'm talking about it. And in terms of price range, I want to say this is around $68, somewhere around there. But I love this one. This is one that I am going to get my better shade in. I think when I looked online, shade 340 looks like a better shade match for me. So I am going to order that one, but I really love this one. When I put this on my face, it just looks quite velvety. Oh, it is so perfecting and so beautiful. But let me tell you about this number 1 foundation. Okay, coming in at number 1 in the medium to full coverage foundation category. And the foundation I have been wearing now for about the past couple of months consistently, on and off camera, Valentino, Very Valentino foundation. It has a broad spectrum of SPF 26. It's a light-lasting perfecting foundation, and I wear the shade DR1. This is not the best shade match for me. I do think DN1 is a better shade match, so I am going to buy another shade, and I will confirm that with you later. But let me tell you about all the goodness that is in this bottle, okay? The reason why this comes in at number 1 for me in terms of coverage and all of the things is I get full coverage look without looking flat, matte, and cakey. Tell me that ain't a bomb combination, okay? So full coverage, flawless finish. Life, though, is still left in the face, okay? It looks great in flash photography, even though it has SPF in it. I know. And for me, I do not look cakey and matte and dull. Those are the things that really steer me away from full coverage foundations, because a lot of times they're matte, they're flat, and they're cakey. I ain't got time for that. Y'all know I love me a good glow. So I can still get my beautiful glow from this foundation. The foundation does err toward more of like a satin finish. So once again, I can make it even more dewy, or I can like pull it back and make it look a little bit more matte. Pull it back, make it matte. Pull it back, make it matte. Okay. It's just stunning. It is just stunning. Like, the more I wear this foundation, the more I just only want to wear it. Like, I haven't reached for my Lisa Eldridge foundation in a hot minute, and I was wearing that one for a while. But this is just everything. And you know a foundation is good in terms of it being like a more full coverage foundation when you prefer to wear this on light makeup days. Yes. Like, if I just want like a little bit of coverage, I will still reach for this and just put like 3 dots on my face and blend it out. It's just amazing. It is by far my favorite foundation of all the foundations. I just had to stop myself because I still love my Pat McGrath. Let me go ahead and get it. Okay, I had to stop myself because I was like, wait a second. You know what? I still would say this is probably right now reigning #1 as my favorite foundation, with Pat McGrath literally sitting at the base. Because with Pat McGrath, this is giving me more. So Pat McGrath is like a really good medium coverage foundation. So here's one of my honorable mentions. But I can go light with it. I can glam it up. It's just, for me, it is flawless on my skin as well, and I love it. This one does have more of like a matte finish. So for me, I always tend to mix it with something that has a more luminous base so that it doesn't look like so matte. But this is also another foundation that is not flat and matte for me, and I can apply this with my fingers and it literally looks like I have great skin all the time. Like, Pat McGrath will always be in a favorites, like yearly favorites, even if I don't put it in a yearly favorites, because, you know, like, sometimes I try to just keep it with what came out that year. But like, I'm always gonna have to highlight Pat McGrath because she's stunning. I wear shade M17. But Valentino right now is reigning supreme, okay? So that's where we're at. Now, I have 2 other honorable mentions. I wasn't gonna talk about Pat McGrath, but then I got on it and I had to talk about her. Okay, so Pat McGrath technically should have been an honorable mentions for my light to medium foundation category. So let me just put that one over there. Now, 2 other honorable mentions. I know I'm all over the place today, and it's okay. 2 other honorable mentions for my full coverage foundation category. Not new to the market, but new to me this year. I have 2 from Chanel. We have the Ultra Le Tint Blurring Smooth Effect Foundation, and I wear the shade BD. I have BD 91, but I have learned with Chanel foundations, BD 70 is my better shade. So there's that. But I was so impatient with this. I wanted to get it that day in the store, and so I just got BD 91, and I make it work. Velvety, velvety, velvety is the perfect word to describe how this looks on the skin. Every time I wear this foundation, y'all are always like, what are you wearing? What's on your face? Because it's velvety, it is more matte, but it is so not flat, and it doesn't look cakey, and it's not like a full coverage foundation too. So it's quite liquidy. I don't know if you can hear that. So it does look lighter on the face. So this is more of like a medium coverage foundation that just looks flawless, like very just natural looking, but perfected. Love it. But honey child, when I want to, now see, this is before Valentino came into the picture. Actually, no, this actually still applies. When I want full coverage and matte, okay, when I say, you know what, I want to go full coverage and matte, I want to look flawless, perfected, camera ready, red carpet ready. I ain't never been on nobody's red carpet, but should I ever be on red carpet, okay? And I want to look flawless, matte, but not flat and not cakey. I'm going to reach for the Chanel Ultra Le Tint Flawless finish foundation in the shade BD71. Not 70, BD71. Oh my goodness me. Like I said, it is flawless, perfecting, matte, doesn't look flat, airbrushed, full coverage. There it is, all in the bottle. I can't say nothing else about it. It's amazing. Both of these foundations, I think, retail for about $50. I think we've got about 40 shades in Ultra Le Tint. And then in the blurring, I can't remember the shade range. I know it's over 20. I was like, well, I need all the Chanel foundations at this point. Love these, like love these. So like I said, for me now, Valentino's in the picture, so I'm reaching for the Valentino one, but Valentino's gonna be a little more dewy than Chanel. So if I want like full coverage matte, Chanel. If I want full coverage radiant, Valentino. So that is my review of the foundations that I have used this year that I felt were worth talking about, sharing with you my favorites. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section below what your favorite foundation is for the year. And if you've got categories, tell me your favorite tinted moisturizer, light to medium, medium to full, or full coverage. Y'all know I love foundations. I want to hear all the things foundations down in the comment section below. And if you've made it to this point in the video and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl Squad. And guys, we're almost done with Chelsmas. We got another one in the bag. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye, guys.